My name is Jalyn Roe. Steven and I have been doing this work together for over 30 years. In December, we will have been married 51 years. Thank you. Thank you. There was a strategic plan behind that. In my former life, I used to train hunter and jumper show horses. And every one of us have done different things in our lives, right? And what this does, being able to train hunter jumper show horses helped me bring to the Jael Group, which is our consulting firm, the part of our culture. And our culture is bold. We're fearless when we're working with organizations, when we're working with nonprofits, when we're working with businesses, in helping them become the best they can be, and helping them move from good to great. I brought that with me to this company. So you want to think about some of those past lives you had and how it inspired you and lifted you and how you bring that to the organizations that you work with.
I am a certified rocket scientist. So what am I doing here? What I learned in pursuing that is that it's never too late to become who you were meant to be. And once you have those skill sets, they're transferable. What I believe in is understanding systems and processes and helping nonprofit organizations increase their capacity and to become that greatness that's within them. I believe that every nonprofit organization has the seeds of greatness. I believe that every for-profit business that's a small business is really a big business in disguise. So what we encourage you to do is to think in a new way. That's what's making the difference for organizations as they move forward. You know how you think, you know who you are. That's one of the things we're going to get into. Remember that metacognitive thinking, metacognition? We sent that out to you. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. So I believe that I'm an architect for change and that we can help lead you in that direction if you so choose. What our goal here today is to teach you the elements. One of the steps in this process is repetition. So you might hear something more than once. There's a purpose behind that. We want you to leave here today understanding the steps and why they need to be in a certain sequence and how to lay it out so you end up with an outcome at the end of it. So that's what we want you to get out of today. So it begins with step number one is choosing your planning design team. Often one or two individuals in an organization come up with an idea and say, this is what we want to do. And then they have difficulty selling it to the rest of the executive team or to other employees. So you want to have a cross-section of your planning design team, and we're going to teach you that today as to how to go about that. Number two is develop a strategic direction for your organization. So that's important. And then the next one is choose to win, not just to play the game. How many of you feel like you're playing a game when you're working within your nonprofit? Raise your hand. Look around. This is a learning experience. Look around. How many people? We have.
Thanks for your honesty.
Yeah.
I can't read that name tag.
Vanessa.
Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa.
So do you play the game to win or are you just playing?
I play to win.
There you go.
Hey.
So we need to, as nonprofits, we need to learn how to play to win. And then the last is we actually get into the planning process. So the first is about strategy, and then it's about planning.
We call this SOAR 2.0 because the S stands not only for strengths, it stands for strategy first. Okay?
keep in mind that the importance of playing, it puts you in a mindset for learning. We learn best when we're playing. It's hard to learn when you're thinking you're dealing with problems. But if you're having fun, it's very easy to play. In fact, you want to learn. You're enthusiastic. You become a high-performing team as a result.
You know, we always said that you have to have a planning team that kind of is the nucleus of putting together your strategic plan. You want that. And he added the word design. Isn't that elegant? A planning design team. You're going to design your strategic planning process. Most of the time, you just jump into it. But you're going to have a team of people that designs what it is that you want and what it is that you get out of it. So you want to create that strategic planning design team. The participants in your actual strategic planning program, your actual strategic planning session where you're actually going to do this plan. Remember, it's strategy plus planning. So you're going to start with the strategy. But you want to select a diverse group that sees your organization through different lenses.
Make sure at least one of those individuals is a person that thinks exactly opposite of the way you think. That's key.
That's because you're looking through a different lens. But you don't want them to be adversary, because what happens is it starts to spiral down. You won't get to where you need to go. Everyone in that group that you have chosen, your board members, any stakeholder that you have chosen to come through that group, to be a part of that group, you want them to love your organization.
To believe in what it is you're doing.
And you want them to help you create the future for it. Yes.
Okay, so this is the problem I'm having, is finding people like-minded to come on board with what my purpose is. You know, like all of the life experiences that God's prepped me to fulfill my vision.
Okay.
And just networking and trying to get people on board. I did a 12-week leadership summit at Middletown High School.
Okay.
Did a before and after survey of the...
Who did that with you? Who allowed you to come in there?
It was Miami University.
Okay, so you find those people that gave you that space and that time, and you're not asking for your strategic. If you're already you have your organization up and running, and you have your board of directors and everything. Well, you have stakeholders already that you know and that you welcome. But if you're new like that, there are people who championed you to get into that organization. What you would do is put together an advisory board that only lasts for a period of time, start and finish. We need you to help us get the first phase of this up and running. And then we'll put your name on a plaque and we'll thank you. So there's ways of working, but most people are a little shy when they think this is forever, but they're willing to give you 6 months, a year to make this happen. So that's how you start. That's how you would go about one way. None of this is.
Can I?
Yes.
One of the things we hope you're going to glean from this is the tool that I believe you need in order to do that is a winning aspiration. We're going to talk about that later. A winning aspiration is when they hear what you say, it causes them to emote in some way. Does that make sense? Yes. So do you have something like that right now?
Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, I just want to ask you quickly.
I've shared my life experience because growing up, I'm not a statistic, or I am a statistic because I didn't go down the same path. So I am in a subgroup that gets kind of categorized as a problem, problematic. Okay. And I'm successful.
Okay.
And
that's what you're going to.
And that's what I'm wanting.
That's what you're going to attract.
Yes.
So that has the makings of create a winning aspiration. So keep that in mind when we get to that section.
So choose a strategy facilitator. There are tons of facilitators out there, and they just walk you through the process. They can do it with a blindfold on. But you want a facilitator that helps you identify strategies, that makes you think a little higher, or that makes you think a little differently, that says, oh, I didn't think of that. And that helps you think through the strategy process on the way to the planning process. A lot of people don't. Some nonprofits do their strategic planning in-house. So Sue would lead the strategic planning process. Well, Brad over here doesn't think too much of Sue because he works with her every day. So how do you think that process is going to go? When you have inside people, now you can have teams that make it work, but when you have inside people that lead it, they come with
baggage. That's what I meant.
Say it again out loud.
Baggage.
She didn't say luggage. She said baggage. So you really want to look for that, and don't hesitate to interview your facilitator. Have that prep meeting, and listen how they think and what they're talking about before you jump into it. Really have your design team plan this process so you get the best.
So where does the strategy begin? It begins before strategic planning.
One of the things that we do in our organization when we work with nonprofits and with companies, we work with Fortune 500 companies, we work with small businesses. Our passion is with nonprofits because we really believe nonprofits are going to change the world. We really do, are changing the world. But we do what's called a prep week to build capacity. So we're working with an organization, we're doing a strategy planning session with an organization next week. The week before, we have started to send them prep things to get ready for it. So they don't come in cold, they come in already thinking about it. And it helps to build the capacity because they're already understanding terms. They're already understanding the thought process of what they need to put into their organization. So even if your facilitator does not offer this as part of their package to you, your planning design team should put together a prep materials that you can send out to the members that are going to be the stakeholders that are going to be a part of your strategic planning session. Find a way to play to win. Now there's different things of winning. Vanessa told us how she plays to win. What we want to caution you against is just going for the average. Oh, they're a facilitator, we need a strategic plan, let's put it out. If your organization wants to be sustainable, get the best person that can help you be that. Because they bring gold. It's gold. You will be digging for gold. If you don't have the funds, wait. Put those funds together. Don't just anybody off the street. Well, it's not off the street, anybody off the Angie's list.
It's been 5 years since you did a strategic plan, raise your hand. Okay, how about 4 years? How about 3? How about 2? There's 1, 2. How about 1?
How about never?
It's time.
Okay. So what you are describing is you're in a boat in the middle of the ocean and you don't have a rudder and you don't have rows.
Or a sale.
That's what or a sale. That's what you're describing. And you have a destination you're trying to get to, but you haven't checked the wind, you haven't checked your compass, you haven't done any of those things. That's what a strategic plan is about, by the way.
It's that map, and it's excited to do it. When you do average strategic plans, there's no gold in them. When you do superior strategic plans, there's gold. A lot of people say, but do you know how much shovels are these days? They're not going to even dig for the gold. Find a way to do it right. Find a way to do it to win, because that's going to best serve you. Unless you just want to check off a box. Board says we have to do a strategic plan, check. But if you want something that's going to make you soar, excuse the pun, do it right in the beginning, because that will inspire you to take it through. Do you know 85% of strategic plans, and I think it's even higher than this, are never used after they're done? We call it spots, strategic plans on top shelves. They get out of the strategic plan session, they put it up here.
Got it done.
Check.
Operations people hate it. It's painful.
So this is when you should not do a strategic plan. Does that mean that strategic plans shouldn't get done? Yes, no? No. Okay, thank you, Sue. It just means that you've got to bring your people up.
There's some work to do before you can
there's
do
some
a
work to
strategic
do.
plan.
That's all that means. Sometimes it can be done during the prep session because they just need a little push. Other times, they might not be the right people on the bus. And you need to find those. Or they might not be in the right seat on the bus. Okay? So it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just if you see these flags, means let's do some work before we do the work so we can get out of it what we need.
So if you follow what we're sharing with you today, you'll begin to think like a strategist thinks. And that's one of our goals, is to help you to do that. So have you noticed we use the term strategy plus planning? Mm-hmm. And the reason is that planning is not strategy. There are two, yes, there are two separate disciplines. And actually, strategy needs to come before planning. And we will definitely do that. So we're going to get into that in greater depth.
So for your notes, this is mini course number 2. Develop a strategic direction for your organization.
And there's only one. There should be only one strategic direction at any given moment. You want to galvanize your team around that one strategic direction and execute on it. And it touches every area of your organization: board development, fundraising, volunteerism. It touches all those areas. There is a minimum cost for everyone that participates in a strategic or a strategy planning session. And that cost is to think about, number one, metacognition is thinking about what it is you're thinking.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's not Facebook. It's not Facebook. We'll do Facebook 5.0 or something.
Thinking about what it is you're thinking. It does a couple of things for you. It uncovers what your biases are if you're paying attention to what it is you're thinking about. It uncovers your ability to focus, to bring focus and awareness to whatever it is you're thinking about. Those are crucial. So we're asking, before you enter your strategy planning session, put it out to your planning design team to think about metacognition. What are you thinking about? Thinking about what it is you're thinking about. Because you want them focused and aware of the conversations that are going on in the room. Number two.
Wait a minute, because I got to say this. Here's a good exercise. Today, when you're talking with people or when you're going through your daily life and you have to say, well, why'd they say that? Or I don't agree with that. Or, ooh, look what she's wearing. Any thought that goes through your mind, stop in that moment and ask yourself, why am I thinking that way? Or why did I say that? Or why did I make that decision because of that? That will help you start to think metacognitively.
And that why, you might have to do that 5 to 7 times.
Yeah.
So what's empathy? Empathy. Empathy is when you have the ability, not the ability to understand what it is, what another person is going through from them telling you, not the idea that you have what it is, but hearing their story. By the way, we live in a social construct that it's the stories that we tell others and we tell ourselves is what builds our reality. So you want them to check your empathy level. Are you able to relate to someone else and what they're going through? Not that you've had a similar experience. That's not what the empathy is about. Empathy is the ability to hear that person and understand and to respect where it is they're coming from.
We're working with one of our clients, the one I was talking about next week. Their organization has been in business since 1933. A lot of the people that were around that organization did not have or didn't realize that they weren't showing empathy or understanding to the new people that were trying to come in, that was trying to bring what they have to the space. And so once we started talking about empathy, they were able to, the divide between the old and the new started to come down. So this is a really important characteristic in any organization, but especially when you're doing strategic plus planning.
And the last one is creativity. And what we mean by creativity when it comes to a strategy planning session is that you hear every voice in the room. That you have the ability to then take that information and synthesize it. That's a skill set that can be developed. So all these 3 areas is you want to bring an awareness to these when you're starting your strategy planning session. Every individual that's in that room, you want them to be cognizant of these 3 different areas. The brain will do the rest. You make sure they're cognizant of that. And then the creativity is a natural process that comes out of that.
And the creativity is what you carry over to the SOAR planning process. You know, we're not trying to solve the problems. What we're trying to do is create the reality that we want our organization to work in. And so that's what this attribute helps you do in the SOAR planning process. You're creating what it is that you want to see and want to have happen.
So what is strategy? We've all heard about 1,000,000 different things of what strategy is.
You can't do good if you're not doing well. Your organization's got to be doing well, okay?
So that needs to be paramount in your thinking. There are certain bad words that we have neglected because we don't feel it has a place in the nonprofit arena. And one of those things is revenue. She says if you don't have enough revenue, you won't be around. So how are you going to do good? So that's important. The other thing is it has to be sustainable. Whatever it is you're doing needs to be sustainable. So you have to have a mind to, okay, how are we doing financially? So I'm going to give you a quick definition for strategy. Strategy is a happy story that you are able to tell based on an outcome that you successfully achieved. That's what strategy is. A happy story. And Sue's idea is, hey, we have plenty of funds to do what it is we've set out to do, and that is to serve our community. That's a happy story.
This line here, the #1 trend for nonprofits in the 21st century is limited resources. This came from the National Council of Nonprofits.
Something's been added. What was added in the 21st century? Social enterprises. A lot of different organizations, federal agencies, lenders, nonprofit organizations are recognizing the importance for every nonprofit organization to have a social enterprise so that they're not dependent on somebody turning off the spigot when it comes to donations or grants. You should have a mix of all of these, but your #1 source of revenue for survival in the 21st century needs to be a social enterprise that fits your winning aspiration.
So there are nonprofits, there are for-profits, and there are beyond profit. That's where the social enterprise come in. It's beyond profit. You're doing so much more, but you have the resources to do them with.
What we're striving to help you do is to begin to think in a new and different way about your nonprofit organization for the purpose of sustainability.
Strategy is about making choices, and that's what you want to be in a position as. One of the clients we were working with, a nonprofit organization, multi-million-dollar nonprofit organization, but they made decisions thinking they didn't have any other choice. And it put them in a precarious situation. Although they were making millions of dollars coming in from different resources, different sources, they were losing $1 million a year because they would just make these non-strategic choices. So the goal is to develop strategic choices that guide productive action. What was the key word in there that I think is the key word? Productive. Productive action. How many people that you've run across that said, I'm busy, but nothing is getting done? It's not, they have action, they just don't have productive action. So your plan, your strategy plus planning, the SOAR planning part helps you build in productive action.
On the first part, you have to become something. Everybody catch that? You have to become a company that your strategy plus planning session is an ongoing process, not once every year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And so we'll get into how that works a little later. And the second part is that the reason we say SOAR, because almost everyone in the room said that they see the glass as half full. SOAR has been demonstrated to work best in the minds of the individuals who see the world that way. If you see the world with the glass being half empty, then you're wondering who drank half of that water. and let's find that person.
Everybody take a sip of their water.
And make sure they stop drinking the water, because we need the water for something else. Then you need a SWOT approach to strategy plus planning.
We're going to do a quick little exercise. And we want you to, it's called Developing the Right Strategy. This is still part of course number 2. Recognize that the organization must make a choice and that choice has consequences. This is a Rubicon decision.
Okay, so today, right here, now, in this room, you need to make a choice. The choice, and it's a Rubicon decision. What we mean by Rubicon is it has consequences. You're going to decide when you walk out of this room that you're going to be the same organization that came in this room, or you've decided you want to change something and be different. And choices have consequences. Everybody might not like the fact that you made the decision that you are going to change the organization for the better. So just be ready. That's a consequence, all right? So the exercise is that we're going to generate what's called strategic possibilities for your organization. A strategic possibility. So we're going to write down as many imaginative possibilities that your organization can execute to become who and what they need to be.
Let's stop there for a moment. Now this is an exercise, so it's not going to hold you to it when you get back to your organization. And you said, I came up with these possibilities. This is just helping you think in a different way, all right? Here's the key on this sentence. Can execute to become who you need to be. It doesn't say write out all the possibilities of who we are, what we're doing now.
In fact, it's not about who you are. It's who you're going to become.
Who you're going to become. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to, I don't have that little ding dong, but we're going to take a moment, and everybody in their own little space, at the top of your paper, write generate strategic possibilities. So think about all the all the possibilities that you can do with your organization.
And they're strategic possibilities. And this is the definition of a strategic possibility. It is a happy story that describes how an organization succeeds.
So don't think of all the things you don't have now.
Remember, we said it has to have a positive emotion to it. You can't read it and feel the same way you did before you read it. That's what we're looking for. That's what that happy is about. And it's how you succeeded as an organization. Anybody have a question? Because this is really important. Anyone have a question about what we just said? We're going to give you some examples of what that is in just a moment. But everyone's clear so far on the language that we're using? Okay. Organizations that succeed in today's world are those who are able to tell the story consistently, and all of their actions are focused on that story. They don't make a decision that doesn't take that story in consideration. Every meeting, every conversation revolves around, how does this advance our happy story? So in this process, what we're doing, now that you have this myriad list of strategic possibilities, is there's a way of going through them and determining which one really fits your aspiration. So right now, everyone's written down at least one strategic possibility, right? You're not married to it.
This is
It's
just
just
for the
a
exercise.
possibility right now, correct? All right. So you'll end up in your session, you will have a list of these possibilities. And so then we're going to ask questions about them that helps us narrow down which one is our aspiration. And it could end up being a combination of all of them.
So split up like that, 3 groups of 3, or 2 and 2, and yeah, we don't have a lot of time, but this is kind of giving you an idea, a feel of how you want to do your planning sessions, right? Strategy planning sessions. So each of you, one person starts. Mario will start. She will read her possibility. Pick one. If you have several, read one. If you have several, just pick one possibility, read it to the group, and then Chris, on your handouts, will ask Mario these questions about her strategy. So can your strategic possibility, can it be linked to an inspiring, attracting, appealing aspiration?
If so, what is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't just
say yes.
The interviewer, the person answering the questions, if they say yes or no, you dig a little bit deeper, okay? And then Chris will give her possibility, and then Mario will ask Chris these questions, okay? So if in a group of 3, you just go down the line.
In the interest of time, let's just focus on number 1.
Your strategic planning sessions, we said you want people with like mind that's absolutely in love with your organization, yes. But you want the diversity of them being able, like mind doesn't mean like lenses. So you want people, your stakeholders that you choose to be a part of your strategic planning session, you want them to see things through different lenses.
So now the next thing is to take those strategic abilities and come out of it with a strategic aspiration.
You've got a lot of strategic possibilities. Let's say we just, hurried up and went through it, and all of our team has chosen the one strategic possibility that we're going to turn into an aspiration that will relate back to the planning SOAR process. Remember, well, you might not know, the A in SOAR is aspirations. What do we aspire to do? What can we create? So, we want you to take that one possibility, strategic possibility, and this is an individual exercise. We want you to write down, describe what it looks like, generate a list of conditions that define success for your organization with that strategic possibility. So Nike would be writing down about the athletes that they're going to be touching around the world, by the way, not just in Kettering.
These are what it would be nice to have or a must-have for it to be your strategic aspiration. Just making the statement is one thing, but you want to set up conditions that says, is this really it? You're sifting for the gold, okay?
And then we go back through it and we weed out the nice to have to what the must have is in order for you to operate within that happy story. So just kind of write some ideas down. But before you do that, who heard of Rip Van Winkle? We're going to go to sleep for 10 years. And what I want you to do is literally close your eyes. I'll come by and close them if you need help. Close your eyes, and you fell asleep, and oh my gosh, you woke up 10 years later in the middle of your nonprofit organization. What does that look like? What are you doing? Who's on board?
Based on your strategic possibility.
Based on the possibility that you wrote out. What do you see when you wake up?
That last exercise, let's go back there quickly. You take all your strategic possibilities, you'll describe what each one looks like, you'll generate a list of conditions that fall into the category of must-have or nice-to-have. The ones that are must-have, you'll put a number 1 beside them. The ones that are nice-to-have but aren't necessarily what you have to have, you can put a 2 behind them. then your team will go through the process of identifying that one priority. There's no such thing as priorities. There is a priority.
1944 is when they changed the word priority to priorities. It's an oxymoron. You can't have more than one priority.
All right.
And then you move to the next.
Yes. So, and that becomes your winning aspiration. Did you notice all of her resources were around making that vision a reality? That's the way it should be. You're not doing 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. Joe's experienced that where they got a whole bunch of things they're doing, but they're not moving forward. With this process, you should be able to move forward exponentially, not incrementally.
That's key. If you're taking notes, note that.
All right. So you chose to win. And so you're going to take your winning aspiration, which is now becomes your stated purpose as an organization. That means that, remember in the beginning, every functional area of your organization needs to address how is it working towards your winning aspiration. It's a priority for the organization, everyone. If hiring, well, how does hiring affect our winning aspiration? If it's finance, well, how does finance affect us executing our winning aspiration? Does that make sense to everyone? Good.
Beat your chest and say, I'm a winner.
We might add that. All functional areas of your organization, one of the things that Steven and I really try to bring forth with nonprofits is you have a reason, you have a hope, you have an aspiration, but you have to run it like a business. So all of the functional areas of your organization, you want to make sure are buying into the strategic aspiration of your organization, which, builds your mission, which builds your vision. But it gives you legs to the mission and to the vision. Did you realize that I think it's the Marine Corps, they have a code of ethics, they have a culture, they have a mission to be the very best they can be, to help anyone that they can help. Did you know Enron had that same code of ethics? And so it's not what you're saying, it's what you're doing.
And what you're doing comes from how you feel about what it is you're doing. So your focus is framed around your customer, your patron, your client, whatever you refer to them as, and it tells you, it reveals to you what your identity is. So now, once we have our winning aspiration, these are interlinked as you go down through here. Winning aspirations, you ask the question, where will we play? There's a lot of places for an organization to play. If you're local, in today's technology, you're not limited to just being local. So you say, where are we going to play? And again, it ties back to your winning aspiration.
Where did Nike say they were going to play? In the world. They're playing the whole world.
And then the next most important question is, how will we win? By the way, do nonprofit organizations have competition?
Oh, yeah.
Ah, good.
Ooh, that hit something.
So how are we going to win against our competition? Again, that ties back to, well, where are you going to play? Your competition isn't in every area that you're playing in necessarily, so you might be able to find a niche somewhere where there's less competition.
And understand that it might not be against another organization. It could be for a grant. That they're only giving out so much monies to, a handful of organizations. So are you going to win in that arena? So there's just, there's different areas to that.
The next is, well, what capabilities must we have? That's the first step of SOAR, is strengths. What do we need to have in place that maybe we don't have in place today that will allow us to complete on the field that we chose to play in and to win? You're not playing just to play, you're playing to win.
In the what capabilities, one of the things that we teach in the strategic planning session, we don't just look at the strengths you have now. We look at the strengths that you're developing and that you need to have in order to commit to that aspiration. So you want to think about that in terms of, it's a universal thing. Just to back up for one moment, Stephen, where it says, how will we win? One of the wonderful things about the nonprofit world, and now starting to be in the social enterprise world as well as small businesses, a lot of people are coming together not as competitors, but like you two back there. You could complement each other. You don't have to fight against each other.
Collaboration.
Thanks you. That's the C I was looking for. So you don't have to be competitors. You can be collaborators and all boats rise.
There's a lot of overlap in nonprofits. So if you begin to think of the other nonprofits as a collaborator for certain services, then you eliminate some competition as a result. So then the last one is, what management systems do we need? So who plays and doesn't keep score? Anyone? In any game you play, you keep score, right? So if you're going to play the game, guess what? Your competition is keeping score. So you want to keep score. So in order to do that, you need a way of holding people accountable and a way to measure how well you're doing. Where are you playing? Is it moving the needle when it comes to your winning aspiration? So you need to have that system in place.
And to Mario's example, it could be a personal best in keeping score. How did I do? How can I do better? What changes am I going to make? So that's a way of saying, how are we moving across this board throughout this game? But it also calls for accountability. Keeping score counts for accountability. We're going to walk through the SOAR. I get it mixed up with SCORE. The SOAR, the SOAR strategic planning process. This is the plan. What we just did up to this point was find the strategy.
It's all been about strategy to this point. Want to demarcate that in your mind. So now we've established our strategic direction based on our aspiration. Everyone got that? That has to be done first. Otherwise, you just have a list of things that you want to
to-do list. Who hates to-do lists? So SOAR is our planning process. Remember we said we're doing SOAR 2.0, so the S stood for strengths and the S stood for strategy. So we started with the strategy. So this is what SOAR does automatically. It puts you in that positive environment. There's power in positivity. We talked about that, the scientific behind that. The other thing that's important here, facilitated format. Because we just don't want willy-nilly ideas talking. We want it within a structure so we can bring something out of it. But this is what that SOAR process does. If you're taking notes, note this. And that is, the magic isn't in the plan. The magic is in the process that you go through to get that plan. So that's what you want to make sure, that your strategic planning sessions has that element to it, because that's when it sticks in the heart and soul. That plan will not end up on the top shelf. So the first part of SOAR, acronym is strengths. What strengths do we need to possess that will enable us to make the strategic aspiration a reality? What strengths do we need to possess? Not that we might not have them now, but in order to get to where we want to go, what we have created, what Vanessa articulated, in order for her to get there, what strengths is that organization going to need?
So it ties back to the strategic aspiration. That's what you're asking, what strengths. It's not just strengths like making a laundry list. It's what strengths do we either possess or need to develop to be able to accomplish the strategic aspiration.
Now, one of the things about that, what I was talking to Ashley about, is that we do an individual SOAR with our clients. So every stakeholder that's going to be in the room helping put that strategy plus plan together, we go through a personal SOAR with them. What strength do you bring to the table, Tara? Strengths do you bring to the table? What opportunities, Deidre, that you see or that you have within your circle of influence? Ruth, what aspirations that you see for this organization? So everyone in that remember we talked about the prep work? We go through that prep work with each individual that's going to be a part of the strategic planning session. What is it that because organizations are made up of who? People.
So O is for opportunities. And so we ask the question, well, where will we play? That's where the opportunities are. Where are you going to play? Based on your winning aspiration, where are you going to play? I heard collaborations. That can be fleshed out to the point that it actually helps you accomplish your winning aspiration, for example.
And when we say collaborations, like Eugenia, we're not talking about, you're forever tied to Vanessa. It's just that what area could be in developing your strategic planning, what area can we collaborate in? Or can we partner up and do?
What gaps can your organization fill within the market? Maybe there's a gap. Maybe there's a service that or a need that's not being met. And we already mentioned collaboration.
Yeah, and with the client that we're working with next week, during the discovery meeting that we had with them, they discovered this huge, remember they've been around since 1933. They discovered this huge gap that was not being served by larger organizations, that they could really step into that space. They could play in that arena that they hadn't thought about. I get excited, I'm sorry.
So aspirations are tied to passion. If when you read your strategic aspiration and it doesn't do anything for you, then you have some work to do because it's driven by emotion. What does the organization hope to achieve in the future, and what capabilities must be in place to achieve the aspiration? Remember we said, what are the must-haves? Results.
Which is the R in SOAR.
How does the organization translate the vision or the winning aspiration into a tangible result? It's got to be measured. It can't be fluff. It has to be something that's moving you towards achieving your aspiration. And we mentioned this before, how does the organization track progress and measure success? This isn't just for the purpose of measuring something or tracking something. What are we tracking it against? I've said it so many times. What are we tracking it against? What are we measuring it against? Our ability. Aspirations. Our aspirations.
Beth, ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding. Fast clap. Fast clap.
Yes. We're measuring against the aspiration. Everything is about the aspiration. You need to align your entire team behind the aspiration. That should be a mantra that's repeated daily in your organization. Where are we when it comes to accomplishing our aspiration? That's why you have like-minded people. They say, okay, yeah, that's the goal. Let's get to it.
Let's get about it. It's not a. Do you guys remember? You have to find a round to it. You have all the round to it's. You don't have to get around to it. All the round to it's you'll have. We give all of our clients a round to it, so they can't say, I got to get around to it. We say, oh, no, you already have that. It's in your desk.
That's why we have a required list before you step into this room. You need to have reviewed your metacognitive thinking. What was the second one? Empathy. And the third thing, creativity. Before you step in the room, the planning session, it's like putting your suit on before you step in there, your space suit.
What did you take away from develop a strategic direction? Yeah, develop a strategic direction for your organization. What did you take away from that session? That was the strategy session. Finding the one strategy. What did you take away from that?
Social enterprises.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there's a revolution going on. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be a part of that revolution, or are you going to get left behind? Do you hear the train coming?
What was a takeaway or two from choose to win, not just to play the game? What was the takeaway from that section?
Was that new to anyone as a nonprofit organization? In the beginning, the only person that said that they played was, I think, and I might have missed your hand, was Vanessa.
Mm-hmm. She said to win.
Is anyone going to play starting from this day forward?
The SOAR planning process, doing it from a positive perspective. What was your takeaway?
Envisioning what you can be, not just what you are right now.
Okay, that's it. That is the gist of it. Let's not try to solve the problem. Let's create what it is we need to be doing.
Get about it.
Get about it.
We want you to leave this room thinking like a strategist. You have a list of the process that you need to step through to be thinking strategically and executing on a plan.
But just so you guys know or understand, you might have a mentor in your organization, maybe an executive director who had run a nonprofit for years and now has retired or whatever, and she or he is mentoring you. If you have this wise counsel as a mentor, the focus of that mentor is to guide through personal experiences, their personal experience and their personal advice, because they've done it, they've been there. The timeline usually for a mentor is limited. You could say, we want a mentor for, 3 months or a year or whatever, or it's a lifetime, like what Vanessa will be providing for her kids that are participating in her program. She's going to need many mentors in that, and it could be peer mentors, like she was saying. The relationship, the mentor is the expert, the mentee is a teacher to a mentee student. SOAR provides you as nonprofit organization free mentorship. They will put you together with a mentor and help you walk through your processes. You have to show up. You have to act on what has been taught to you, or you just don't stay in the program, but it's a free program and it's paid for by part of the SBA. So that's what a mentor relationship is. A consultant relationship fixes a specific problem or works on a project in an organization. The time frame you hire, and they're usually hired in as a retainer, the time frame you hired them in is limited. It has a start date and an end date, and the relationship is the expertise of a consultant to the client. The coaching aspect, it focuses on move you forward into action. You have this coach. You know, think about a basketball coach. Okay, it provides observation for your patterns. A lot of times, when you're in upper management position or executive director or board members, you have patterns that you don't even recognize, that you're doing over and over, and some of them is sabotaging what you need to do. A coach can sit back and watch that and then help you overcome that. A coach will help you course correct. A coach brings out the greatness within you. Michael Jordan to his coach. Time frame of a coach could be a limited. A lot of people hire the Jael Group to come on as executive coach for their organization or business, and we're doing it through a time frame to go through certain things, or it can be a lifetime. The relationship, unlike mentor and consultant, the relationship between the coach and the person that they're coaching is a partnership. They're helping you move through on your own fire, per se. We work in two sections. We work in the consultant section and we work in the coaching section. Usually we go in and do a strategic planning session, and then afterwards we come in, organizations can bring us in to coach through the first 90 days of getting their plan going. We do, and I will say that SCORE, even though that we are mentors, we do a lot of coaching to help you get to where you need to be. In closing, we want to thank you for spending your time with us on our online series of workshops. I'd like to bring Art in, who is part of the SCORE workshop series team. He has been instrumental in putting these workshops together for you, and we have several more that you can participate in. So our whole goal is to help you become better in your organization or small business. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you soon.